Well, a good Wednesday morning, everybody, and welcome back to Lexington, Kentucky. A gorgeous Wednesday morning. It was a little on the cool side when we woke up, but the sun is out right now. It's already starting to warm up, and it's going to be a great day for day number 3 of the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale as we bring you from high above right into the Fasig-Tipton Sales Pavilion. Mark McKelvey, Anthony McDonald, and Anthony, your phone's been blowing up today. It's been a busy week, but this morning, I want to make it clear right off the top. We're starting 5 minutes late, and it's not because of you.
I wanted that made. I was here plenty of time. Cam said to me, Anthony, we got 13 minutes. Let's go look at our video. I said, no, Cam. We need to come in. We need to be early for the set. We need to be here early.
We were here. We were ready to go. So we're set, and we're looking ahead to day number 3. But of course, we always like to kick things off by looking back to yesterday. And yesterday's show was kind of abbreviated. We'll have a little more time today, but we had to quickly rattle through the 6 horses you purchased on night 1. Now we have a longer show today, and you only purchased 2. So I guess we're going to spend a lot of time talking about these 2 purchases. But talk us through how yesterday went. We'll go to each horse in a second. But yesterday's session was a marathon. That was a long day. It was, I think, over 7 hours from start to finish, and acquired 2.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I told everybody I thought we were going to be a little quiet. I didn't realize that the prices would be so strong. Mm-hmm. If you'd have said, hey, you'd be able to acquire 6 on day 1, none of them be 6 figures, and acquire 2 on day 2, and none of them be 6 figures, I would be obviously more apt to believe the second part of that statement than the first. And it's not like we were going around picking up, whatever people didn't want. We got the horses we wanted, maybe not the ones we truly wanted, not our number 1 picks. And you and I were very close to our picks.
Our number 1 picks on Monday, yeah.
But we got what we wanted, right? And that was the most important thing. And yeah, I had to wait a long time yesterday. It was a nice day though, and it's not like you're like, I could have got this one. We really had nothing we could have got. Right. I think I was the underbidder on 2 horses that were okay, but that was what I liked them for. And when it came to the ones we got, I got them both for a lot less than I thought we'd have to pay, which made me feel good about waiting through the entire day.
They were both Captain Corey's.
They were, and I had a great email. I'd sent a video on my way in here to our clients. I had a great email from one of our clients, Joel, that I talk to all the time. He's always emailing, bouncing ideas off me, and he had said, "Are you concerned about acquiring a lot of Captain Corey's? I know you bred 5 of your broodmares to him." And I said, no. I mean, that's the way the stables always run, right? Yeah. First year we got in on Walner. First year we got in on Tactical Landing. Now, first year we get in on Green Shoe. We didn't get beat up on them, but we did get in on them. And it's always been a way that I found maybe we could find some potential value is that first crop sire. It's always an angle we've always used. And from what I saw from the looks of the Captain Corey's, one that I'm very, very happy to continue to use.
Absolutely. Well, we'll start with hip number 281. That was the first one you purchased yesterday. And for $75,000. And Captain Corey, as mentioned, dual eligible, Pennsylvania and Kentucky. Out of a Cantab Hall mare, Can't Have My Money. She had a nice mark of 54-2 as a 3-year-old. Made 6 figures. But this is the family of Moneymaker. Right away when I see that page, I see the second dam as Moneymaker. And I also see Pickpocket. So we know a lot about this family.
Yeah. Pickpocket's been a great horse for us, and he was a really, really good 2-year-old. One of those horses that kind of come back as good at 3 as he was at 2, which is, there's nothing wrong. When you win at 53-1 as a 2-year-old, you come back as good. Not the end of the world. And he said a scattered year, done okay, but I think he's got some good stuff ahead of him. He trained great the other day at Northfield when I trained him before I'd left to come down here, and I think he does have a pretty good, decent rest of the fall coming for him. But he's been a great horse for us. His brother last year sold for $245. He'd won the New Jersey Sires in one of those races and been a good colt, and then they put him away. And of course, you can't look past the second dam. Obviously, Moneymaker. So, and the most important thing, aside from Pickpocket and his brother, is this is a filly. So again, you have that residual value when it comes to the mares. Now, quite frankly, we had a quiet list of our high-end pacers, our high-end trotters, and what we had to do from day 1 is put 2 high-end horses into that 1 bucket, which made all the sense because the Sweet Lou filly I had marked as a high-end purchase, and we got her for half that. And then the Tall Dark Stranger colt at a Kissing in the Sand, those 2 horses made up a little bit less than what we were ready to pay for 1. So we put them both in there, and when we were looking at the high-end bucket, I didn't know how the Captain Corey's would be received, and somebody said, they're a little lower. We did watch one go for 300.
Yeah.
We did watch one go for 230. So it wasn't like they were all low. And this particular filly, I can't really say why she went. I feel a little silly, saying well she only went for 75.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. But she did go for 75, which is quite a bit less than I thought she would bring. We were happy to pick her up, and I just so excited on a number of planes as getting this filly and bringing her in. I just really, really happy.
Yeah, that was a good one to definitely was on the radar, and it all comes together. And then later on, 307, so not that much longer later, another Captain Corey, this time a colt, $20,000 was the price.
Yeah, I had mentioned last night in my video, his brother won the PA final. He was third in the PA final. Greg, one of our stable statisticians had messaged me and said, I don't know how much you had to drink before you did that video, but that horse did not win the final. He was third.
Did not happen.
But I raced against him all year long. Father TJ was a legitimately good horse all season long, and it's not the last you're going to see of Father TJ, I'm sure, in 2024. A really, really nice colt. And it's funny, I had said to somebody, said, I don't understand why that colt with that pedigree would bring so little. I said, well, here's the one thing, and I want everybody to understand this. If you look back, and Amy said, as Amy was looking through her list of horses, so when Amy made her list, she looked at the pedigrees and then the videos. And the videos, that's the component. That's the thing. For those of you out there that are shooting videos, if you are yearling owners, make sure your videos are done properly and they look pristine, because if you do, the eyeballs, it compounds so much. It's really, truly unbelievable. Hey, I wanted to ask you, because I don't know a lot about the thoroughbred. Do they do yearling videos the same way they do the standardbred videos in the yearling?
They do make videos. They're not completely the same the way they're shot, but very similar, yeah.
Very similar?
Yeah, there is a bit of that as well.
I was wondering, because obviously there's no gate to see, right? The trotters you see trot. You might see the pacers pace once in a while, but obviously you're looking for, but how do they just show them in the field galloping?
The one thing that's interesting I find, and it's kind of the same thing, but you're inspecting horses here, and we were talking about that a couple weeks ago here at Keeneland. They had a 2-week sale, 4,000 plus horses. Like, how do you do your homework for that? Now, I'll learn more about that, but that to me is, I guess, is why there are bloodstock agents that are, that.
When do the books come out? It must come out months and months and months in advance.
There's a November breeding sale. It just came out yesterday, the catalog, and that sale starts first week in November. There's 3,000
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So
so it's impossible.
It's a different world.
There must be a whole group of people that really just pour themselves into this. But the information, the amount of information that's available, especially for all these horses, but I don't know about the thoroughbreds, but for the standardbreds, I mean, you could break out all these bloodlines in the second and third dams and just look until you fell asleep every single night, and it's incredible. We don't spend a lot of time in the thoroughbred world, but I'm always curious.
Seeing how things are done there. Now, one thing, and this is a little off topic though, but it all ties together and it'll impact next year's sale, is that it was recently announced that there'll now be graded stakes.
Now, I noticed that. So how would that work? So you'd see a Grade 1 North American Cup winner?
Yep. Oh, yeah. And so very similar, and it's all the criteria. I was lucky enough to be asked to be on the committee, and it took about a year to come up with proper criteria of how the races would be graded. To start, it's going to go off of purse level. That's the easiest way to start off.
Absolutely.
But then there's actually going to be a criteria created where you can score each race. Like, you review after the year, did this race draw a quality field? Like, did it get the right horses? So just because you have a rich race, if you're not getting the best of the best, does that mean it needs to stay a Grade 1?
And we know some races that maybe don't draw the best horses, but are prestigious races.
Yeah, and so next year in the catalog, you will see, and they're going to actually backtrack, I think a couple of years is the plan, to go back and regrade them. You'll see Carl, for example, if he's on the page, it'll say 2024 Grade 1 Hamiltonian winner. So I know the breeders are pretty excited about it.
Are they grading the races or grading the horse? Because if Carl wins a Grade 1 horse, is he now a Grade?
Yes, he's a Grade 1 winner now, yeah. So and I think that's the idea, is that now it's a bit of an easier sell to say,
I was wondering how they were going to do that.
This mare, not just because let's be real, you could be a stakes winner. You might have won the Joe Blow Stakes for $5,000, but you get black type in that book, and you can say my mare was a stakes winner. Now you can say, well, she won a Grade 2 or she won a Grade 3. So it'll be interesting. It'll be something different in the book next year.
Now, how would you grade a jurisdictional final winner, like the horse that wins the Ontario Sire Stakes final?
Those are not, to start, they're not being graded, and if they ever,
so this is just Grand Circuit,
open events, like Grand Circuit. So
that's interesting.
It'll be interesting. It'll take a little bit of time to adjust, because it's one of those things that we don't like change usually in our industry. So
really, I hadn't noticed.
And we don't want to be like, we don't want to be like the thoroughbreds. That's what you would hear. But it turned out one of the main reasons was Sweden, for example, was grading our races. They just had their own people deciding what each race in North America was, if you considered it a grade 1, 2, or 3,
How
or nothing.
did we make out? I was just curious.
I think they were probably pretty close, but why are we letting people from around the world? We should do our own. So we're the only place that did not have groups. They call it Group 1 or Group 2 or Group 3. So
I did not know that.
It was a unique project.
There you go. I'm sure you didn't know that either. I didn't.
So next
Mark's
year,
on the committee. So all our horses virtually just grade 1.
They're all grade 1 winners.
Yeah, that's how I like that.
Multiple graded stakes winning, the stable. All right, we got a few questions coming up, and we'll be looking at a lot of videos here today. I believe Curtis said we've got, I don't know,
4.2 million.
4.2 million videos. Yeah, I think he was just upset he had to
he's using
put them all
21
together.
today because we need some for tomorrow.
No, there's only 21.
I thought you told me it was 42.
42 minutes.
42 minutes of
my
videos.
apologies.
There you go. I thought he meant 42 as well. Next year we're going to get you a headset so you can
We
chime
need
in.
graded videos. Yeah.
We're going to start grading your videos.
We have 6 grade 1 videos coming your way today from the stable.
We got a question right here, and it came from Norman Welsh, who was tuning in
He was
again.
in yesterday, Norman.
He was, and he
Do
wants.
you not work?
Who knows where he is in the world? It could be nighttime. I don't know.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. What do you look for when evaluating a yearling's mental aptitude?
Ooh, that is a great question.
That's a loaded question.
I like. Well, there's one there.
Oh.
Just running loose. Get that number, Amy.
Uh-oh.
There's one running loose right there in preferred. I didn't know they turned them out in the mornings here.
Heading towards Curtis's car, too. That's.
Look, see, he's playing football. Look, watch it going to take off again. Look, gone.
Oh.
He's going to open fire.
I think he's all right.
Told
There you
Amy to
go.
get the number. So the mental acuity,
Yep.
it's
Oh.
impossible.
There you go.
Obviously, you got this lady who's got glasses rattling and the horse is running loose, and you have a lot going on. So to ask a horse to come here for the first time and to adjust, that's a really hard thing to do. Now, there's a number of things that I personally like. I like the horses that are looking really spunky, but not scared.
Right.
Just like sharp and feeling good. And then you like to have a good head on the horse and a good head on the horse. And maybe the horse is walking and looks like it's understanding what it's doing. That might sound stupid to you, but you can tell, right? If a horse just looks like it's out of its mind, it looks a little immature, right?
Yep.
So does that translate into jogging, training, racing? I don't know, Norm. I'd love to tell you that. It's a fantastic question, but one that I just don't really think that I can answer. I think it's a little bit different for everybody. So I guess the easiest way to say it's personal preference, right? But that is a great question.
That was a real good question. We also had one from Joe who wanted to know, are there any sires you avoid when looking at the broodmare side?
Oh, another good question. I don't think so.
Yeah.
There are some sires I will look at. You know, it was funny, and I'll say it to everybody. Back when Lucky Chuckies were racing, I did not like them. But what I'd found was, over the years, a lot of the horses that I personally liked were out of Lucky Chucky mares. So I guess I lean towards, if there's a horse out of a Lucky Chucky mare, I might give it a little more credence than I would, and I will tell you that, I would maybe look at it. I've caught myself saying that to Amy sometimes, hey, this horse out of a Lucky Chucky mare. And I don't know why, but it just seems like a lot of the horses I personally liked driving or being around were out of these Lucky Chucky mares. And I don't know if there's any sort of correlation, but so I guess another great question. I don't think I give it a lot of, you know, as I said, credence here or there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the individual. You're always going to see me say, I'm looking at the horse. It's great to look at the father and the mother and all the brothers and sisters, but we only get to race this one. And so you really want to look for an athletic, good-looking horse.
I know we talked a little bit earlier in the week about stallions that you know, you're maybe not as interested in buying their offspring, but do you ever find yourself at the sale, especially being by the back ring, you see one walk in that catches your eye, you flip the page and then go, oh, it's one of those.
All the time. And Amy
'Cause he's a good looker.
Amy will be standing beside me lots of times. She'll be like, no. And I'm like, but look at this horse. No. So yes, the eye candy, it's very easy for me. I have to stay away from that sometimes. I'll look at the horse and be like, no, you can't. And it's good because, like, when we're doing the bucket system, I know roughly between now and the end of the sale what we need.
Yeah.
So again, trotting fillies, we're on the lookout for today. So if you're looking at a pacing colt, just because it's a good-looking horse, I have to ask myself, why are we doing this?
Right.
And then it'll happen all the time. Be like, geez, it's a good-looking horse, but
Gotta justify it.
you really gotta justify what you're doing, especially we do, especially now through the end of the sale.
Absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. So let's go to some of those videos that we've got queued up, ready to go. Curtis is there, and he's going to send us to them right now.
Number 376. Now we are on the hunt for some trotting fillies, and this is a filly out of Northwood Bloodstock, a Father Patrick filly. out of Mezcal Morning. Donato Hanover mare. She's a sister to Margarita Knights, who's thrown behind closed doors. Behind closed doors is the I love how this does this. The mother sister sledge, and you guys may have seen Sister Sledge's family's horse go on day one. A horse that we really liked. Never got my hand up. A very good family on the bottom of this. Very, very strong, all the way to the bottom and then upwards to the top. This is second foal. Now, a huge update on the filly, Hangover. The sisters trotted in 55 and made $20,000 made now as a 2-year-old. So again, 2-year-olds racing. This is, I don't want to say that, oh, this is a diamond in the rough, but it's a Father Patrick who people may hang back from. Very strong family, although Ron Burke is here, and this is all Burke's family here in the second dam, I think. A very, very nice filly here. Very interesting filly, and a filly I would love to have. Number 376. Just making some notes here. Number 376, Miss Amigos. Selling, I guess, selling very, very early in day number 3, actually. Miss Amigos, 376, a February 8th. Father Patrick filly. This is a nice horse. You're going to see a lot of pedigree. Out of an SJ's Caviar mare. Now the second dam, pay attention, the second dam is by Western Terror. Now, that's a pacer, you're correct. The first foal from that Western Terror mare is Don Fanucci's at 1.5 million America, 150 in Europe. So buy a trotter out of a pacing mare. And you see it, the pacers bubble up from the bottom, and then all of a sudden, poof, these trotters show up. Well, I'll tell you one thing, this one good-looking filly. I will tell you, the only knock I have in this filly, if you look at her knees, under her knees, you'll see splints on both front legs. Now, that's a conformational thing, right? There's no possible way that that horse pops splints in the exact same place without there being added and maybe undue pressure on both of them. Having said that, they're popped now, they're manageable, they're treatable, lots of horses have them. Usually it's indicative of maybe knees or feet or both. But both we can manage as we train the horse down, especially a horse her size. She's not a big, giant tactical landing. She's a middle-of-the-road, medium-sized filly with a lot of obscure, kind of curious breeding. But I'll tell you what drew me to her was none of that. Just the way she looked, just her presence. She's a beautiful filly. Her ears perked up, but she's not being bad. She's sharp, sharp filly. Number 380, Jailbird Jog, New Jersey and Kentucky. Bay filly. Now, we're going to train her down on the trot, but there is some basin blood there. Nah, she's a trotter. This is a beautiful filly with a nice video and a horse that I rather like. Number 380, Jailbird Jog. Can you walk her for me just for a second? Tubbs, number 383. Now, I'm doing my best. I got a ton of lists here. And what I'd like to do throughout the sale is write down horses that I think will be truly value-based horses. This horse got a big splint on the outside of his left front leg. It's nothing. It looks like he banged it on something. And the Father Patricks are kind of hit and miss and hot and cold for a lot of people. And when it comes to this guy, look at his breeding. Sonny Crockett's brother. There's good horses all throughout this family. And he is a Father Patrick at the middle of the sale. He's got a splint on that left front. He is imperfect, but not in a troublesome way at all. To me, I just thought he was a horse that absolutely could fall through the cracks and a horse that I would be very interested in. Number 383, he is and again, Pennsylvania only, April 7th, colt. Just a really, really good-looking colt, a colt that caught my eye right away. So the horse that I put on my watch this horse type list is number 383, Rico Tubbs. Single jurisdiction, as we talked about, April 7th, foal, well-bred, lots of money and pedigree all throughout the page. Just the type of horse we'd love to come home with at the stable. Can you walk him down for me, sir?
at school. 'Cause they have
Day number 3 is going to start off here at Spring Haven. Our trotting side is going to be a colt. Now, we're not after colts today, but doesn't mean we won't buy one. Minoan is number 410. This is Herodotus' brother. Now, if you guys remember, who did we race against with Herodotus? Wasn't that long ago. I can't think of it in the top of my head right now, but it's not that long ago Herodotus raced. Nice horse. I know exactly who it was. Crantini raced against Herodotus. Herodotus ended up making 367. This is full brother by bar hopping. Now, I'll tell you right now, a lot of the bar hoppings we looked at, and I always have looked at, are toed out a little bit. They just are. Some of them touch their knees, some of them get into their knees, some of them don't. And this guy is toed out a little bit, which puts him at 410, but it certainly doesn't bother me at all. We had lots and lots of good bar hoppings, and all of them toed out a tiny bit, and some of them would get to their knees once in a while. Who's the little guy that we had sold, Amy? The bar hopping horse that we got from Schaefer's. Really nice little horse.
Oh, the Buzz?
Buzz, tailgate Buzz. He would get into his knees once in a while. We noticed that if his feet were starting to get sore, especially, like a lot of horses, but definitely the ones that are toed out, he would find the knee when he was racing and training. He wore knee boots, but he didn't get at them real hard. He just had to manage them. Anyway, this is Minoan. This is Herodotus' brother. You can see him walking. He's at 11-1 up front. But, and somebody had asked this in the broadcast, toed out pacers or trotters. Toed out pacers, almost a hard no for me. You know, it would have to be a certain situation for me to discount that and say, yeah, don't worry about it, that didn't bother me. But with trotters, it is a little bit different. And I don't mind them at 11-1 sometimes. We have plenty of horses. Amy and I talk about this all the time. Lawmaker was toed out a little bit, and lots of our other horses were. But if you were out there looking for a horse that you're going to pay a lot of money for, you'd be like, ah, geez, I just can't do it. But if you're going to find some value with Minoan, I don't have a problem at all with this. Number 410, Minoan, selling early on day number 3. Breakaway Cowgirl. This is 413A, March 25th, Pennsylvania only, Tall Dark Stranger. Now, you may say to yourself, Anthony, Tall Dark Strangers had a terrible year. No one is talking about them. Well, that's why we're talking about them. When are you going to get a chance to buy? Because you have to remember, Tall Dark Stranger got such a great book of mares that he has all these high-powered and deep pedigreed foals. So if you're looking for value, honestly, you're not going to find it any better in here. You may also say, well, you can't just, if the horse had a terrible season, I'd rather wait. Well, for the people a little bit even older than me, as Dr. Egloff was just telling me, Better's Delight himself, his first crop was so bad, they were just dumping the mares in foal, right? It was just an absolute dumpster fire. And then, lo and behold, you know, he roared back as a stallion to be, you know, arguably one of the best sires ever in horse racing. So there's arguments being made as to whether you should purchase any Tall Dark Strangers. Yes, they had a terrible year, and everybody knows it, whether they want to talk about it or not. But they also have a strong group of well-bred yearlings. This is a good-looking filly. A little short, but very muscular, very strong, great video. She's also out of a sister to Huntsville. You're not going to find a much better bred horse selling at 413, and depending how people receive these Tall Dark Strangers, there could be some bargains to be found. And when you're looking at it, the difference between the fillies and the colts is when you're looking at the fillies, there's always going to be some residual broodmare value, and especially in bloodlines like this. So although we're not out there searching and seeking out Tall Dark Strangers, I would caution everybody not to turn the page quick, especially on the fillies, because those bloodlines are real, they're not going anywhere, and there's nothing saying that Tall Dark Stranger can't come back just like his father did. So number 413, Breakaway Cowgirl, is a horse we are going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at a few of these Tall Dark Strangers, and this was the first one today here at, and another piece of information. I have, since I've opened a sale catalog and saw the name Vauqueray, I thought it was called View Car. That's just how I pronounced it. I finally asked Dr. Eckloff, how do you pronounce your farm's name properly? Vucare means old quarters. So number 413, Breakaway Cowgirl, here at Vucare Farms, is a horse on our list, is a horse we're looking at very carefully. And quite frankly, one of these, I would be surprised if we didn't head home with at least one Tall Dark Stranger. So that is number 413, Breakaway Cowgirl, selling on day number 3, I think. Day number 3 here in Lexington. .35 Cattle Drive. Hi, bud. Cattle Drive is a really, really nice colt. Now, he had a full brother that raced as a 2-year-old, paced him 54. I don't think he made a ton of money. Yeah, it doesn't have his money on there. But he paced 54, an okay horse, right? And we're not really here looking for okay horse. I just told you guys in a video, our Ontario breds, I want to have them bought with purpose. Not just to buy an Ontario bred to bring in Ontario, but say this is a fantastic individual. And this guy is a very, very nice horse. Decent family. I was looking through it. Hug Dragons in the second dam. Hug Dragon made 934. Hug Dragon S made 213. A pretty decent family top to bottom. Does he fit? I don't know. I mean, yeah, we want to buy terrific individuals and we're willing to pay a little bit of money for them. But it doesn't mean we're not going to be looking for value either. And I don't know if Cattle Drive fits or not. I guess that'll depend on what's happening in the ring. But he is a very good-looking individual. He does have a full brother that has raced at 2, paced 54. But is he air horse? I'm not sure. I'm going to do a little more looking into Cattle Drive, and I'm going to watch him as he goes through the ring. We'll see what happens with this guy, but he is an Ontario-eligible colt by Cattle Wash. I'd say highly anticipated. I would say for sure anticipated. Pacing sire here as we go into Ontario 2025, number 435, an April 7th colt. His name is Cattle Drive.
Well, high above the Fasig-Tipton Sales Pavilion, how about those shots? Just a beautiful scene right here in Lexington, Kentucky, as day number 3 of the Lexington Select Sale is going to begin later today at 1 p.m. We'll welcome you back in, Mark and Anthony with you, and we took a look at some of the yearlings that are selling today that might be on your radar, and you were telling me while we were watching those videos just that, you know, today's the day where you really got to make sure that you're staying on the ball. Yep. You know, obviously the prices are going to drop a little bit compared to what they were night 1 and of course from night 2, but you don't want to just buy one for the sake of buying one. You want to make sure it's the right one.
And that's it. I mean, this is you know, especially for stables that are looking for horses. Still, day 3 is lots of nice horses. But it's also the day where you start to see the prices dwindle. You'll see the odd horse or two that'll just explode and you'll be like, wow, what happened there? But you'll also see other horses go the other way where you'll be like, wow, what was wrong with that horse? I was certain. I looked at it. Now, we always double and triple check, and we're always pretty confident that we're happy with the horses we bought. Having said that, there's going to be a lot of those horses go through the ring today, and truthfully speaking, we have about 2 or 3 spots left on the bus, so to speak, and I'd love to fill them up with trotting fillies, but we do have a couple other horses that have caught my eye today that I'm going to be looking at very, very closely. So you just want to make sure that you get what you want and get the best value you can, today especially.
Now, I was looking at the book because as the sale goes along, we see some more of the jurisdictions represented. We know on the final day there's like Indiana, Ohio. There's been some Ontario horses sprinkled through. Where are you at with some Ontario babies? How many were you looking to get? And are we waiting until maybe London or Harrisburg for that?
Wherever we can.
Okay.
I was the underbidder on Alicorn's sister yesterday, and she went quite, I think Determination ended up with her. So another one of those spots where we could have been bidding till right now, and I still wouldn't have got her. There's a lot of really quality Ontario breds in this sale, so I saw some today that I also liked. We're going to be looking at. right through till day 5. There's more throughout the sale. I think in total there was 90 at the sale, if I'm not mistaken. And as you pointed out, we do have Harrisburg, right? We do have London.
Yeah.
So we'll get our Ontario horses. You know, we still are. We'll still continue to remain. You know, I hear people saying all the time, "Oh, you know, you're over in Ohio and Pennsylvania more often. How long is it till Ontario just doesn't?" That will never happen. Ontario is always going to be, you know, where I lived for 20 years and played a major role and continues to play a major role and will continue to play a major role in the stable's business operations. So we will continue to buy yearlings for Ontario. We'll continue to race horses there, and it will always be a quietly. You know, I'm always going to be an Islander, but it quietly is home also.
Absolutely, and the only reason I bring it up is I saw in one of the comments, I think it came from Luis Willis, who asked about, or didn't really ask, but just mentioned that Cattle Wash was one of a fave horse, and now Cattle Wash, I think this is the second crop. The first crop though was in New Jersey.
That's
now
right.
moved
That's
to
right.
Ontario.
Yep.
I'm not sure how you can, if you can find any correlation or have any kind of guess from how the first group performed in New Jersey, what that might mean when it goes to Ontario, but I think that's an exciting addition in Ontario.
I think it is too, yeah. I saw 2 today that I really liked that are coming up. One or both of them are today. So I wouldn't be surprised. I guess it would be important to note that if, for our clients out there especially, as we buy those horses that we have for our Lexington sale buckets, the ones that we have earmarked for Lexington, if we do happen to grab an Ontario bred or 2, it could be easily outside of that bucket situation where I would reach out to all our clients and say, no buckets, this horse is going up for sale tomorrow, and whatever happens. And I think that's the easiest way. We got another loose one. We have a great day here at Preferred.
Well, they might, hopefully the paramedics don't go very
That's
far.
the same horse. Hey, I'll tell you what, there's a good chance that we're going to end up with a Chapter 7 on the Preferred today. He's been loose twice already. Look, he's a elusive bugger. It's the same one?
That's amazing. I think
I'll tell you right now, there's a good chance that we're going to be watching, number 543 go through the ring, go through the ring today. Who is he?
It was 543.
543 was his name.
I think they're putting an update sticker on
Yeah,
the side of that
updated,
one.
loose twice today, and sharp as attack. Number 543, this was an Alarage horse, Preferred Equine, Chapter 7, out of a Muscle Hill mare.
There
I
you
can
go.
tell you, he moves nice.
He
It's
does.
a nice colt.
He does
It's
move
a nice
nice.
colt.
And obviously, hopefully everyone was okay over there. Paramedics actually came and they were looking at somebody from earlier today, but he looks like he was all right. So
More
hopefully,
times than not, when the 1,000-pound horses are running
Yeah.
loose, there's a 100-pound person laying on the
Someone
ground,
hurting a
generally
little bit.
speaking. So, listen, these are horses, right?
Yep.
And that's the way it is, and these are babies. I'm actually shocked that more times than not, more horses don't get loose.
I said this the other day when we were walking through the back.
Unbelievable
I
the
said,
job these
yeah.
guys do, because you have a 800 to 1,000-pound horse get spooked and want to take off. They do an amazing job keeping these horses under wraps, and you know, we joke about it, but obviously everybody's all right, and definitely. I'm not joking though. It's a horse that I'm definitely going to watch go through the ring today.
Now there's some
100%
curiosity.
for sure.
More curious how that horse will behave when it gets to the ring too, or the back ring, and has to take in all that. There'll be a lot more going on than there is at 11:30 on a Wednesday morning around here. Looking at some more of the comments, if you want to drop us a line and ask any questions, feel free again. I noticed
Now I
that
got the feed up there.
there you go. Now you can get some of the questions. A little quieter today. I don't know if everyone's sleeping in or, like you said, working maybe on a Wednesday, but we've always got some good engagement. We really, really appreciate that.
It's important you missed this one where it talks about Anthony's incredible restraint yesterday on day number 2. And thanks, Ed.
Incredible.
It was a lot of restraint, but you know, it really wasn't. It just, I feel that the Ohio sale, as I said to all our clients, had allowed me to be much more surgical, especially with the input from kind of an inner crowd that we have that has been helping out, and obviously they know who they are, Steve and Randy and Bob and John and Jim and all the people that play such a major role, Rob. Anyway, it's not an award speech.
No, but it's a good team.
They do a great job, and they love the industry, and what the most important to me, they love the stable. They love what we're doing and want to be a part of it, and that means so much to me. And they've been super helpful. So was the restraint? Yes, but we knew what we were looking for. As I said, I was only the underbidder on 2 horses. We bought 2 horses and watched a ton go through the ring. So you're going to see probably quite a bit more restraint also. As I said, if we stray outside and get an Ontario bred, that's fine. But we have probably looking at trotting fillies today in Lexington for sure.
I like that we can take everybody kind of behind the scenes, and something that caught my eye yesterday was early on in the sales session, and you were set up in your usual spot, and I believe it was the breeder on the green shoe you bought night one came over.
Oh yeah.
And I saw you guys having a lengthy conversation. But in those cases, is it often that you know, the breeder will come up and maybe wish you luck or give you some information?
Well, I think the breeders know that we are generally very active in all of these sales. So the one thing everybody has to understand, I never thought about it until somebody brought it to my attention. It was a breeder actually 3 or 4 years ago, and they said, you know, you have to understand when we get to the number, you know, to that number.
Yep.
There's a lot of people and a lot of bids along the way, and he said, I see you bid on a lot of horses, and it doesn't go unnoticed. I appreciate it, and it meant a lot. And I didn't really know what he meant at that point, but you know how you get to those numbers. There isn't just one guy just saying, no, I'll pay more. You know, you have to have active bidders,
yep.
And you know, it's not my job to come here and run up horses, but it is my job to find horses for our clients, and we are active. Probably one of the more active bidders in North America, I think, is TheStable when it comes to every sale and the amount of horses we bid on. So it is a good feeling, and they do come up all the time and talk to us. And the gentleman on day one, as I said to our clients, that's a 2-beer story, and one that I'd love to tell in the future from the green shoe horse, that's for sure. It was a very interesting story, to say the least.
All right. Well, the one thing I noticed yesterday, especially when we talk about the activity when it comes to the amount of bids and things going along, night one, how many times did a horse already open up at 30, 40 right away? Yesterday we had horses that sold for 6 figures, but the first bid came in finally at 5.
There was one horse.
Just a crawl.
Yeah, there was one horse opened up at 5.
Yeah.
I had the $40,000 bid, and it went for $230,000. So it was.
Yeah.
You never know. It was funny you say
Yeah.
that. Yeah. On day one, it blows my mind that you'll see a horse go from 50 to 75.
Yeah.
Are you okay with paying $25,000 extra for no particular reason?
They're just going
but that's
for it.
just how they
Yep.
price the horse at. Let's say they price the horse at 200. I don't really care how it gets there.
That's where we're going.
And it's shocking to me sometimes, but it's just the way it is.
Yep, I get it. Curtis, I think we got some more videos to go to. I can see you pointing at me, so let's go to some more of those as we get set for day number 3.
So we found our first Ontario bred. This is number 443 out of Northwood. Delightfully looking. This is a typical, actually I would say above average Better's Delight. She got a little cut on her left hind pastern. It's nothing, it's just superficial. I really like this filly's video. Now we are down here, we are looking for Ontario breds, the same as we are every single year. I think this is no different. I liked her video, I like everything about her. She moves real nice, and her family also. This is a first foal from a well-said mare. Now that mare is a sister to Beachbody, who made $358,000 and had some sweet somewhere. 215, mark of 52. Third dam, you have Malicious, Miss Malicious. You look down there, you see Gung Ho. Gung Ho is down there in the fourth dam also. Just a really kind of meat and potatoes, nice family. There's certainly nothing wrong with it, and I liked this filly's video. I think it's what put me over the top. Just the way she moves, the way she acts, her manneriments, and then when you bring her out here, she's on her toes, she's sharp, she's feeling good. I just like everything about her. Just a nice filly that would fit nicely into our stable, I think, as we head into 2025. This is a Better's Delight, our first Ontario bred we're looking at on day number, is 443 day number 3? Day 3 here in Lexington. Thank you, sir.
But man, they're starting to look good. Perfect Thought. Now, I'll be honest, we certainly don't have much interest in Perfect Sting. This is New Jersey eligible. Now, Perfect Sting will dominate the New Jersey sire scene, I believe. Lazarus has had his opportunity. I just don't think it's going to pan out. And Perfect Sting is going to have his opportunity in New Jersey. Now, the New Jersey sire stakes kind of walled off. Not a lot of pacing sires there. Now, you will have to race against all. I watched one sell for 300, I think, yet on the first night. I'm sure there were more that sold for a ton. This horse, very interesting. We just talked about Captain Cowboy, and who in the second dam is Big Jim, right? Well, this is a sister to that mother. Second dam, Big Jim again. This is a brother to True Blue Lindy, who took a mark of 49-2. No, paced 49-2, took a mark of a 3-year-old in 51, but more importantly to me, took a 2-year-old mark of 51-2 and made made 435.
Wyatt J made 300,000, 20 wins by American Ideal. Lindy the Brave just under 100, mark of 51 and 2 by Fear the Dragon. And Pink Jammies has 9 wins this year as a 2-year-old and a mark of 58 and 2 as a 2-year-old, paced in 55. So very, very strong family top to bottom, and this is a very good-looking filly in Perfect Thought. Now, they can't all buy all the perfect stings. And I don't want to buy a perfect sting, just say, oh, we got a perfect sting. But at the end of the day, I am in the business of buying good-looking horses, and this is one good-looking animal. Number 448, Perfect Thought, selling today in Lexington. What a good looker that is, eh? We're back here in day number 3 at Northwood Bloodstock, number 455, another trotting filly we're going to look at. This one here is also a Father Patrick. She's a big, good-looking filly. Now, she is out of a mare named Tweet Me, an Andover Hall mare who made $490,000, 2-year-old mark of 56 and a 5/8. The second dam is the dam of Rich and Miserable, $850,000 made and a mark of 151. Lots of speed and lots of talent in this family, and a really, really good filly. I liked her video, and I certainly like her as she's walking around. Can you walk her down one more time for me, sir? This is a March 7th dual eligible Pennsylvania and Kentucky filly by Father Patrick. Her name is Hot for Her. Number 455, selling here on day number 3 in Lexington. Number 461, we're still here at Diamond Creek. Number 461, Cynic. This is a Captain Corey. Now, I'm as happy as anybody. These Captain Corys all look great, and that makes me very happy because I think we have 5 mares in foal to Captain Corey. Cynic is a good-looking filly. Now, this is the sister to Samosa. I believe Scott McEnany had that filly, and I raced against her with, I can't think of who it was, but it's Pennsylvania. It was in Pennsylvania for sure. So, Samosa. 152,000, mark of 153. Now, obviously, also important is the second dam. The second dam is the dam of Chapter 7. So, lots of pedigree to look at on this page, lots of speed, lots of money. This is a good-looking filly, and she's buried at 461. I'm a little surprised, but 461 Cynic is a horse we're going to be watching pretty closely as she goes through the sale. I like everything about this filly. She's put together nicely. She's by a sire that I'm very interested in, and she has lots of family behind her. So number 461 is Cynic. Can you walk her down? How much, Aim? Prices?
On her?
Yeah.
More importantly.
What's that? Tell you what, this is a horse that can get lost in the shuffle a little bit. He shouldn't. Now, a great question this year. How are the chimpanzees going to do at the sale? No one knows until the sale starts. Last year they were all hot and they all got a lot of money, but they didn't show up as well as we'd hoped. You know, people want to make excuses and say, oh no, this one, this one. They didn't show up as well as everybody thought they would this year. Now, I will say that we had 3, and all 3 of them were a little immature. So there's nothing saying that those 2-year-olds that were okay at 2 won't come back as strong at 3. They got great mares. Chapter 7 was a great horse himself. So there's nothing that would make anybody allude to the fact that they won't, but they have not yet. So how will that affect this year's sale? I don't know. I have no idea. But number 473, I believe this is Degas, and I say that because I know that they like to They like to name all the yearlings after painters and poets. I believe it's Degas. This is a Kentucky sired chimpanzee colt out of air quote Hanover, air quote Hanover. 3 previous foals. Hasn't done a whole lot. Now I'll look for an update. Nope, no update here on Armored Dove. But the second dam has Possessed the Will, A Plum Hanover. Third dam, Algiers Hall, world champion. Even down in the fourth is the dam of Carl. So you have a super strong foundation on the bottom of this family and an incredibly good looking colt. Every time I look at him, there's just something about him. He just looks perfect when he's standing there. The same video that you're seeing right now. Hey, Steve. Rob, look at this horse. This is a really, really good-looking horse, way back at 473. Now, I'm going to be watching to see how the chimpanzees are selling. I personally don't think they're going to take much of a haircut. A little bit, but not much. But, man, I would love to get a horse like this. This is a good-looking colt right here. Number 473, Degas, selling on day 3, I believe, here in Lexington.
Yeah.
That's pliable.
Yeah, that's fine. Nice looking longer.
Hey, Aim? That's a gorgeous horse right there. I want that horse. You know, it's always funny looking at, when you go to some of these consignments, they'll have sisters of, you know, you'll see the same bloodlines over and over again. Now, I just showed you a video of another filly who was out of a foal of Piranha Fury. We talked about TCI being in the third dam. Well, this horse, 485 crossover, TCI's in the second dam. This is a foal out of Piranha Fury. So I guess one generation behind where the other one was. Now, this is a chimpanzee. The chimpanzees by Chapter 7, obviously, is what he was by. A lot of them were small, right? Everybody forgave it. It wasn't a big deal. Well, this is a giant. This is a big, big filly. This is a Kentucky Stallion bonus filly, so Kentucky eligible filly out of Donato Hanover mare. And, man, she does not look like your average chimpanzee at all. She's big. She's strong. I'm trying to look and see if there's any digs on her. I don't think so. I mean, if you want to be real picky, you'd say maybe she's a little straight up front, a little, I wouldn't call her back on her knees, but she's not far from it. But man, she's got a huge, huge rear end on her, beautiful head on her, video's nice. Everything about this filly I like. But I think, I'll tell you right now, at number 485, I don't think where you put her, you could sell her as number 45, number 485, or you could sell her in the bathroom after the sale. She's going to bring a fair amount of money. Number 485 crossover. It's a horse we're watching, but truthfully speaking, I think everybody else will be also. So that's her, 485, May 26. How could she be this big at May 26 foal? Late foal, giant. Man, she's a good looker. Can you walk her down for me? Hey, did you see what she is?
All right, everybody. We're coming back here at Fasig-Tipton as you get a nice look high above. Curtis had the drone out today on a beautiful morning. It's actually getting sneaky warm.
The sun is hot. The air is a little cool. I think it's going to change quick here because it's supposed to go up to like 24, 25 Celsius.
Yeah.
Which is, Mark, in Fahrenheit, do you know?
That'd be high 70s.
I think you're right. I have no idea.
You didn't know?
No, I was asking. I wasn't.
Oh, I thought you were like putting me on the spot. Well,
Oh, I was.
This is where we're at in the show. 25 Celsius to Fahrenheit is 77. See, look at that.
You're pretty good on the ball, man.
I knew. We try to be. Somebody has to be here as we're getting set for day number 3. We looked back at some of the horses that you've purchased. We talked about the 6 yesterday. We talked about the 2 today, which were from yesterday. But we had a chance yesterday afternoon just to take a little break to go over and see the horses that you had purchased. We went over to, now I'm blanking what consignor it was, Kentucky.
Kentuckyana, we had 3, yeah.
And when you see them, that's, you know, it's all right, here we go, we're sending them back, and you guys get right down to business, right? Like there's no lull after you purchase these horses.
Absolutely not. No, in fact, the horses we bought this week have gone back, and you know, usually
throughout the years, I was the one that always went with them the first day. I just don't want to see anybody, like our friend here with 543 get run over. I don't want to see any of the horses loose or anything happen, because that's on me, right? So it should be on me. And what I found is Jason Merriman and Joey Cramp have done a great job going with some of these horses on day one. I would not be surprised if the horses we bought over this week are in the harness today and on the racetrack jogging. And we do get right down to it, and that way we can tell what the horses need, if they need any more help. We have got horses that are a little timid in the barn, so you want to go a little slower with them and show them how to do it right. And that boils down to our caretakers also. We got a great group of people on both sides of the border working with the horses, and we try to get them going right away. Now, that's not true. We bought some horses in Ohio that I thought were May foals, a little small. So just kick them out. We'll bring them back in. We'll bring them back in maybe towards the middle of October, the end of October.
And then, you think about it, you go to Harrisburg, that's not till first week in November. So
exactly.
These horses get a little bit of a head start. Does it take long for the Harrisburg ones to catch up?
It's funny, Amy and I talk about this all the time. If we have a horse that was small, she goes, Anthony, we don't even have the horses in Harrisburg coming till November. No, it doesn't take long at all. And, I think when you have that window from, like you said, November to June, there's more than enough time. So there's lots of time in between to just take a break. And the one thing we try to do at the stable is treat each horse as an individual. So there are horses throughout the year that might need a break, may need time off, and then we have other ones that are just full steam ahead.
Well, I've seen a few comments come in on both Facebook and YouTube, noting a couple horses that people are excited to watch today and see if maybe TheStable.ca might be able to get their hand up. If you're going to drop those, make sure you let us know the hip number as well. There's a lot of horses in
Calling
the
them by first name is not super helpful.
We can do a little searching around, but hip number. There you go. Anything really catching your eye today, specifically?
Trotting fillies.
Yeah.
Obviously, we dropped some names on day one. It didn't work out too well for us, so we're maybe just going to play our hand just a little closer to our chest today.
Yep.
But there are a couple of horses that really caught my eye. Actually, one, you and I talked about kind of trying to stay away from the eye candy in the back ring, but there was a pacing filly that thoroughly caught my eye today. I'm not going to say who she's by, but she really, really caught my eye. Somebody else had her out, and we were done looking at our horse. So I went to walk away, and I said to Amy, just 1 second. She goes, no. I said, no, we got to look at this horse. And we went back and looked at her, and she is a stunning individual. So there are some very, very nice horses in day number 3. A lot of people say, day 1 and 2, don't count out the day 3 horses too.
Yeah.
A lot of these firms will stack their middle of their days also because, you have to understand this. I said this to you on day 1, and we talk about it. When some of the consigners try to put day 2, day 3 pedigrees on day 1, they usually get crucified. But if you go and put a day 1 pedigree on 2 or 3, you get that, big fish in small pond type of feeling, and sometimes they'll bring more than you would have thought they would on day 1 to begin with.
I thought that actually yesterday. I saw one that came up at about 300 or so, and I looked and I went, if that horse had sold last night, I don't think it's bringing that much. It's probably going to be about the average, which I think the average was 190 on the first night, but I think it probably got enhanced by, like you said, getting a little more shine on the second day instead of being in that kind of that rumble that was night 1, where it's just a lot of deep and powerful pedigree pages that can't be ignored, and all the top stallions and a lot of top mares. So that's something to keep an eye on today to see which horses kind of pop through. Bulldog Hanover, they were selling some yesterday. I saw one go for a pretty good
I was going to bid on the horse, but I think it's same thing. Circling back to what we talked about, his video was very nice, and sometimes people put a lot of credence into these videos, and that would be the one thing I would say. If you're a consigner out there, make sure your videos are very, very good, because nothing will drive the price stronger at this sale. Some of the horses, like if you look, a perfect example is 307, that Captain Corey video. It was okay, but it wasn't tremendous.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I'm looking at the horse saying, well, there's no flaws, there's no concerns. He paddles in a little bit, not a big deal. Lots of horses do, but had that video been a little stronger, you can be sure I would bet any kind of money. Now, there's no way to proof this, but I would bet any kind of money that horse would have went for $50,000, $60,000.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just something like that. So I do know some of my friends are smaller breeders and like, yeah, the video, how's the video look? I'm like, could be better. And if they're strong videos, that's what draws people, right? For us, you look at the pedigree page, you look at the video, then you go to the sale and you look at the horse. If the video doesn't look good, it's very easy just to
ignore,
cross it off, right? So it's a very, very important part of the sale. I'm always intrigued by the politics that goes into the selling side of the horses. and just a little nuances that we don't even think of play such a major role. It is really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Horses getting bought, getting sold. A lot of things can change pretty quickly. The thing I was going to mention about Bulldog Hanover was that this crop this year was after his 3-year-old season. He didn't become the world champion 145 and 4 horse until his 4-year-old year. So the quality of mares next year is going to, like, they were good mares this year.
Oh,
but
yeah.
next year.
We said the same thing yesterday. Steve had said to me, he said, you know, the mares he has in this sale, if these horses turn out, you won't be able to buy a Bulldog
Next
Hanover.
year.
It will change. It may change the Ontario program. Like, I don't know that we've seen. Obviously, Better's Delight. Right, but
Better's Delight came later on.
yeah, he was older and had already crushed in New York and Pennsylvania, those places. Who knows what Bulldog Hanover can do for the Ontario product, but I'm going to tell you, not just that he was Bulldog Hanover, that horse you were talking about, an incredible looking individual, and it was come out of Sealster Farms. It was maybe even $299. See how my memory is. It's not usually any good.
$299, $350.
There you go.
Deb.
Deb, the one at a Deb, decent pedigree, but not a 350, not what I would call a 350 pedigree. Who ended up buying? It must have been Brad Grant. Yeah, there you go. So, but an incredible looking individual again. So one of those horses that will transcend your videos and your page, and just an incredible looking horse that sold for a lot of money, and you'll see that from time to time also.
I think that'll be really intriguing next year. I'll be curious to see how they perform in their first season on the track, and maybe, like you said, could change Ontario, but when you're bringing in a cattle wash, now, you know, Bulldog Hanover's going to get
King
into
of
the
the
mix.
North there.
And on the trotting side, King of the North. And Green Manalishi's been outstanding.
Absolutely. I was just trying to think in my head what the name of Green Manalishi, the one went for 200 here that we were looking at, and you know, they just dominated so much. So as you start to see those horses leak into the Grand Circuit, these are the types of horses that change the scope of a jurisdiction. And Ontario has kind of backed itself. You know, I think COVID played a role in losing. When we lost the slots program, it really quietly devastated us for a number of years. And to see Ontario come back now with these sires, if these horses show up in the Grand Circuit, oh my God, it could really put Ontario back on the map in a way it hasn't seen since 2010, 2012.
I think the last couple of years there's been some real top Grand
and take
Circuit
nothing
horses
away
from
from nothing away from the horses that raced in Ontario, but to see an entire sire stamp itself in Ontario, we say, oh yeah, the Ontario program's unbelievable. I think what you'll see is as you start to change the landscape in Ontario with these sires, you may also change the way that the people that pull the purse strings look at Ontario also. You know, I know in 2 years I believe there's contracts up for negotiation, and if you happen to see horses like this change a jurisdiction where now all of a sudden we're talked about again in that Grand Circuit, top of the heap way, things can change in a big way for Ontario quickly.
Absolutely can. Now we're just past the noon hour here. Sale's going to start at 1 p.m. Not as many people kicking around as early today. I don't know if
you've seen this though. Now, were you? I know Curtis was thinking of leaving here on Thursday, and we were talking about I won't say it. We were talking about what Thursday's weather would look like. But Thursday, when you see Wednesday, it's not that those people won't pour in.
No.
But now everybody's probably a little had plenty to drink on Monday and Tuesday at night.
A little slower.
Did you partake in?
Not that much.
None
Really.
at all. No. Well, that's good. Good for you. But we did go out to eat last night. You know, everybody's full. Everybody's had a night out to relax and talk with their friends or their clients or what have you. These people will pour in here. Closer to 1 o'clock. It's not like day one where we got here at 4:30 and the place is like
I just remember the anticipation. Like everyone's excited. There's that buzz, and then they're
right
still excited, but. You know, they realize I don't need to get there that early if I've done my homework.
It seemed like day one they were right on the verge of tailgating in the parking lot. It was
did feel like that. It did.
And
really feel
day
like
three is a little bit less. Day four, much like this. Now you start to feel the circus starting to leave town, and then it's almost like day 5 is not Lexington anymore. It's a different sale. It is a whole other different sale that they have on Friday in Lexington. It's not the Lexington Select, and that's not to take anything away from it, but it's because there's so many different jurisdictions that come to town. A whole new crowd of people pour in.
It's a different market. And you have racing kicking off again on Friday, so you've got more people in town now, so it'll stay busy right through the week. We're going to go to some more videos in just a couple of moments. Jamie is also kicking around. She is doing some interviews out with some of the various consigners and people out back, so we'll have some of those coming up very, very soon. And let's go to more of those videos right now. I think Curtis is standing by to tee those up.
You know, one thing we haven't talked about in this sale is how the bettor's wishes are going to be received. I drove the good filly for Tim, the second and 51 in a piece with her. She's a really nice filly. Drove a couple other bettor's wishes that I actually liked, and I think it was one of those horses. The first crop was so-so, but they're not bad horses. And when I'm looking for a pacer, especially value, $4.97 certainly pops up. This is Vizcaya. I don't know how to say that, but I think it's right. Pennsylvania and Kentucky. It says roan, but this horse might have some roan hairs in him. He's not much roan. Brother to Captive Audience, odds on Boca Raton, and then Sanibel Island down in the second dam. This lots of pedigree in this colt. Just a really nice horse, kind of buried right in the middle of the sale, and the type of horse where, you know, you see him go for X amount of dollars, and you say, why'd that horse only bring that? These are the types of horses you're going to find them in the sale, and I'm not saying the $4.97 is definitely one of them, but it wouldn't shock me if he was. I like this colt, and I wouldn't mind grabbing him. This is $4.97 Vizcaya, selling on day 3, I assume, day 3 here in Lexington, Kentucky. Can you walk him down, please?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'd be dead. Yeah.
What's wrong?
I said I think that my headache's from that slushy machine.
It's unlikely.
I don't know. There's a lot of sugar in that shit.
And I just drank a bunch of caffeine.
Can't
So
tell. My headache went away as soon as I put my green hat on.
I took.
You want to try it?
Literally. Oh, I think I deleted it already. Let's see if
Oh,
I can
yeah.
find it.
I don't know. I was
Yeah.
just wondering.
Not much wrong with that guy.
If you go
Probably
look-
when they looked at the sale, he had some gray hairs throughout him.
If you go look
And they'll call
closely,
them.
like you see a
Yeah.
little bit. Of
See over. Number 508. This has got to be day 3, somewhere in the latter part of day 3. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When Diamond Creek usually sells horses, they're pretty high-priced horses for the most part. So it's not really a place you're going to come and you're going to say, geez, you know, it'd be a great place to find value. And that's not to say that you can't. It's just wouldn't be my first stop when looking for value. Number 508 came out, and this horse was not on my list to begin with. I didn't love her video. I didn't mind it. But man, what a gorgeous filly. This is a Father Patrick, March 25th, Pennsylvania and Kentucky eligible trotting filly. Clemency is her name. Now, it's a first foal from a Chapter 7 mare. I don't know where Chapter 7 was hiding it. This is a gigantic filly. And he usually throws small horses. So it didn't show up in the mare side, that's for sure. A Chapter 7 mare out of, a Father Patrick mare out of a first foal out of a Chapter 7 mare. Her name, Jean. The second dam, Piranha Fury, 144,000 made, trotted in 51 and 3. Third dam is the dam of TCI. So way down at the bottom, you see a lot of power and a young family. You know, as I said, she was not on my radar when I got here, but it's pretty hard not to like her. My God, she's put together perfectly. She's got a beautiful head on her. And for a Father Patrick, they can be a little cranky. Her ears have not stopped coming forward since she walked out of the barn. Can you walk her forward for me, Jeff? Come on, girl. What a beautiful filly. Number 508, Clemency, selling somewhere in day number 3 here in Kentucky.
You probably have a video of.
Number 510, Till the Cows Come Home. This is a March 20th cattle wash. Again, Ontario. I'll tell you what, I've only seen 2, and they're both giants. These are big horses. I don't know if the cattle washes are generally this way, but this guy certainly is. He is, as I said, March 20th foal. His 3/4 brother, Beach Boogie, took a mark of 49 and 4 as a 3-year-old, 49 and 2 after that in the 5/8 mile track, and made just shy of $500,000. His other brother, his other 3/4 brother, Fashion on the Beach, 3-year-old mark of 52 flat, 4-year-old mark of 50 and 4, timed in 50 and 1, made $200,000. Just a good family top to bottom, but really all the news is right up front here. Man, this is a big, giant animal. What a good-looking colt. Number 510, Till the Cows Come Home. Can you walk him down, Steph? What a good-looking bugger this is. What's that? So leave the bees alone. I don't care. 1. Wow, what a big colt. Number 510, till the cows come home. Thanks, Steph. It's a nice colt.
Well, this is right above pretty much where we are set up. We're just at the bottom of the screen, as that is the first walking ring, essentially, they go into before then going into the back ring and then into the main arena. Things are going to fill up here very, very soon for day number 3 of the Lexington Select Sale. And we're not going to waste any time. Let's jump into some of the questions that have been fired away, including one that asked about, and I understand why you would ask this question. Can you make a private offer to a breeder before the horse goes into the ring?
Yeah, that's a great question, but put yourself in the breeder's shoes.
Yep.
You know, you have committed to selling the horse in the sales ring. You're about to walk your horse in the ring. I would think it would be a no.
Take your chance, probably.
Take your chances and go bid on the horse because, I mean, what does that say? Oh, we're going to take number 461 out of the ring because somebody wants to. No, they're not going to do that. So there's lots of times when I'm sure that I've had breeders come up to me after we bought a horse, say, hey, I'll be happy to keep a piece of that horse if you'd like me to. In fact, that happened this year also. Unfortunately, at the time, when we looked, there's no shares left for us. But when we first started out, man, that played a big role. If you had a breeder come up and say, hey, I'll keep a quarter of that horse or whatnot, it's a great feeling and it makes my job easier.
Yep.
But in this case, at this sale, we weren't able to do that. But it's a good question. Obviously, we deal with that all the time in the stable, but if you just put yourself in the breeder's shoes, that would be kind of a no-no from their standpoint.
Completely get it, and somebody actually here on site was asking me yesterday, like, when these horses are taken out of the sale, when they withdraw them, what's the reason, then what happens next? And obviously there's lots of reasons. The horse could have got hurt, could have had something that, you know what, if we bring this horse now to the sale, the way it looks, you know, we're not gonna get what we really want. Like, so we're gonna hold on, and then, you know, whether it's private sale or, like you said, maybe they retain and give it to someone to break the horse and get it ready. Like, there's a lot of different avenues you could go, right?
Absolutely, and you're talking about the bread and butter of the stable when we first started. Horses that were out, horses that didn't bring enough. This is what made us. And we had twice this week, I had asked somebody about horses that were out also. The one horse just didn't bring enough. They kept it and wanted a lot more money for it. And the other one, a client had sold the horse, and the farm had said they had interest in the horse, and they said, if you want to buy the horse, buy the, and they did.
Right.
So in this case, theoretically, the consignor literally bought the horse from the client, knowingly, and said, if it brings this, I will buy the horse back, and it was all done before, where they were happy with it, and they ended up buying the horse. So that happens also.
Well, we got a question coming from Kimberly. It says, Anthony, can you explain conformation issue back on their knees? You mentioned it in one of your videos.
So that's a great question too. When you see a horse that's very straight up and down, and sometimes it almost seems to you like there's undue pressure on their knees, on the backs of their knees. When you say they're back of their knees, they're very straight up and down, and almost to the point where maybe too straight up and down. And when you see the horse move, when you see the horse walk,
it just seems like there's more pressure on the back part of their knees. It can be a problem, especially think about how fast these horses have to go along with the way during their maturity process.
Yeah.
You really want to. It's something that's concerning, and if it's a real problem, you might want to watch it. But we have had horses that have been back on their knees where it really never played a role, where we've said, okay, we know this horse is back on their knees. We are going to discount, in my mind, discount that horse a little bit because of that, and then end up purchasing that horse along those lines, and it never really did play a role. So it isn't a black and white, no, X that horse off, but it is something we want to be cognitive of as we potentially purchase that horse.
Yeah, and these videos that we've been showing you all day long, I think those are things that for somebody who's maybe new to this, they can kind of spot some of these things that you're talking about. One of them, and I love it when our cameraman Cam gets looking at them head on and they're coming towards you, is just seeing how the horse even lands. Like, tell us kind of when you're looking at them dead on what someone should be looking at.
So that's great because we had a bar hopping horse we looked at this morning, and it was towed out a little bit, 11-1, and you'll have people say, oh, you know what, that horse is towed out, it's conformationally incorrect, it's going to hit its knees or it's going to have bad knees. It's not always the case, especially with trotters. What is important is Cam is watching them, again, that video portion of the horse's yearling video, when it shows the horse coming towards you and going away, what you want to see is how that horse enters their gait and how they exit their gait, or how, it's a fancy way, I guess, of saying how the horse hits the ground and comes off the ground. Is that horse flipping that foot in towards the knee? That's concerning. But if you even see a horse, there'll be lots of horses at 11-1, well, they'll come off that ground straight. Their gait is still straight. Now it's at an angle, but it's straight, and they land straight. Well, worst case, you might have a horse that brushes knees. There's a reason they started making knee boots a long time ago. And two, we've had horses, one of the foundation horses of the stable that meant a lot to my wife and I, and really was one of the first horses that put us on the map, was Lawmaker, and he stood off. Never wore a knee boot, not one time in his whole life, and never really came that close. And this was a horse that would stand at 11-1. So you can see it. You have to, most important thing is where that foot is going when it comes off the ground, and then where it lands. How does the horse's gait look? You can have a very clean gait from a horse at 11-1, whereas you can have a very kind of ugly looking gait from a horse that it doesn't stand off. You're like, wow, that horse really, although it doesn't look like it's towed out, it really kind of flips that foot in towards the knee. So that head-on view is actually very, very important.
I think I've heard you talk about it in the past, kind of very similar to how their gait is, but sometimes it kind of corrects when they're in the turn. Is that kind of one of those things where they kind of turn in and it's not the end of the world? Or
well, I'll tell you what, when you have a horse that maybe that flips that left one in, and you have to race on a smaller track, it's not so much a big deal. But if you have a horse that flips that left foot towards the right knee and you're on a bigger track, now you get a horse that'll run it a little bit and get into that outside knee more times than not. That can be a problem also. But if you're racing a medium-sized horse in the New York circuit, let's say on a half-mile track, and you see it coming close to that outside knee, it may not be the end of the world, because you have 4 turns, right? You have 4 turns to go around.
A lot smaller tracks there,
Exactly. So it's another, maybe a small thing that you might give away a little bit and say, well, it's not that bad. I'm not really that worried about it. We'll see how it plays out. But, if somebody's going to give me a little bit of a discount, a little bit of a value because then that's something I'll pursue.
Yep, you can definitely give it some thought. Curtis, I know we did some interviews in the back. Do we have any of those coming up here in a moment? Or you want to give us a minute? Okay, you see that? This is just on-the-fly television. We're doing a great job here.
It's a step up from the texting you guys were doing yesterday.
Well, no, this is what I said. We might as well just talk. He's 12 feet from us right now.
Yeah.
He's just behind the camera. Did you hear him at the jug he got on the broadcast?
I did not know that. You were on the broadcast at the jug?
He was. And
what's that?
For 3 races.
I didn't know this.
Have you heard him ever talk on camera? Or,
no.
I was very impressed by it. But
he did good?
Yeah, he did a very good job. But now I'm wondering why he's always been behind the camera.
Yeah, why doesn't he do it? Why isn't he on the desk?
We might be looking. Yeah, good point. Who's going to run all that stuff? But we might be needing a host in Harrisburg. I think he should just do double duty.
It's very possible.
I mean, that would be entertaining.
It could be. We'll look over his contract. There might be something in there for it.
Could be some options. I like it there. Do we have that interview ready to go, Chris? We do. I'm getting the nod. So, Jamie, like we said, she's been out back and touring around, and she caught up with a special guest.
Welcome to Spring Station, and here I have Sasha with me. Sasha, just tell us about kind of your role here.
So what I do is I basically set up the entire sale here. Josh and I manage Spring Station Farm, so we are kind of like the face of it all here. Josh is the manager of the racehorses, broodmares, all of that type of stuff, but all the pretty stuff you see here is what I set up and do. So we start setting up last Wednesday. Actually, we had that terrible storm come through, so we had to reset up again, but so that's what I do, just kind of oversee everything that way, make sure everyone's happy.
And of course, you have lots of people here working. And what about the process? So if I come out and I want to see hip number 588 from your barn, once I've said that to someone, what's the process then?
So the process after that is, so we have cards if you want to see more of them naturally, but if you just want to see one or whatever, you come up to one of us. Megan, our vet, is here too, so you tell us what you want to see. We have our grooms in the back, and then we also have showers. So it's basically like a NASCAR pit type of scenario. So they'll bring the horse out in the aisleway, they'll get them ready, they'll brush them, groom them, get them all shined up like a brand new penny, and then we'll have someone show them out here in these walking areas. We do fillies on one side, colts on the other, and then if you have to wait because we're really busy, we have all kinds of refreshments, snacks, everything. We have margarita machines, we have mimosas, we have cookies with the hip numbers on so you don't forget any of them, and that's kind of what we do.
Actually, those cookies I think are a staple because everybody says, you know, you got to make it to the back corner for those Spring Station cookies.
Yes, yeah, they're very popular. We had dog treats out too for everyone as well. So horse and human and dog, we've got it all taken care of.
And after the sale, so say I purchase 588, who I looked at, goes through the sale ring, kind of what's the process then to get them to my farm or where I want to go?
So after, I'm so sorry, so after you purchase your yearling and everything and you take care of all the paperwork, after they're done in the sale, they come back here. We have their stall clean and ready for them. Their bed is all ready to go. They've got hay, water, they get to have their dinner at night, and then they kind of just rest back here. And then it's up to the buyer to figure out your shipping and everything. They go home with their pretty halter with the nameplate, all of that type of stuff, but you kind of just pick them up and then we cross our fingers and hope for the best and watch your success going forward.
I was going to say, do you follow along? Do you have, you know, obviously everybody has their favorites, let's be realistic, but you follow along.
Every night I leave.
I was going to say follow along after and kind of see how your horses are going.
We do. We follow all of them. And it's not just Josh and I that follow them. Eric, the owner, follows them. Megan follows them. Everyone that works here follows them. Our grooms are great. They'll follow their progress. So we never leave them, really. We're always there in spirit. So we follow all of them, hope for the best, that type of thing.
That's amazing to see as kind of a family atmosphere, and you guys have been putting on. We've been here a few years in a row now. And are you bringing more horses kind of each year?
Yeah. So last year we sold 12. This year we're selling 33. Next year we'll have an even bigger sale. So next year we'll have an entire barn that we'll have filled up. And what you said about it being more of like a family type of thing. So Eric, the owner, his son Jack is here, and you'll see him in the sale ring as well. So it really is a family type of atmosphere.
That's amazing, and good luck for the rest of the week here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you see me crying after they leave, it's just because I love them so much, so just ignore that. Thank you.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Fasig-Tipton on day number 3 of the 2024 Lexington Selected Yearling Sale. Getting set for the third session, as mentioned, to start at the top of the hour at 1 p.m. But happy right now to bring in a special guest, Mark Loy. Kind of going to be wearing a couple of hats during this interview with Hanover Shoe Farms, but as well, earlier in the show, we were talking about graded stakes coming to North American Harness Racing in 2025. We'll get to that in a second, Mark,
Sure.
But first of all, let's put on that Hanover hat that we've got right here. How's the sale going so far?
We've had a phenomenal sale. I think everybody, or most of the consigners, I'm sure, will say they're having a great sale. Hanover has completed their sale. We ended up selling 13, over 2.8 million, over $215,000 average. Sales topic to this point, highest price trotting filly or filly ever sold in public auction with Ramona Hanover's first foal. Ramona Hill, excuse me. There's no way we can say anything, but we're extremely pleased with the way it went.
It's gone really, really well. Now, I know it's been in the last few years where Hanover's come to the Lexington sale because obviously there's a lot of emphasis back in Pennsylvania with Harrisburg coming up. But the group that you brought here, how do you identify the group that comes to this sale?
There's a process. There's a lot of people involved in the process, and we try to bring some very special horses, but also we don't want to bastardize our own sale up in Harrisburg. So, you know, like this year we did bring the Ramona Hill filly. But by the same token, back home in Harrisburg, we'll be selling the walnut of Crucial, who's a dam of Maryland, who right now looks like the best two-year-old trotting colt in the country. So we don't want to hurt the Harrisburg sale, but we also want to bring a select group down to Lexington.
Well, yeah, like you said, you got to be real pleased with how it's gone, and now turning your focus to Harrisburg. As I mentioned, graded stakes are coming to North American Harness Racing in 2025. The announcement went out just a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling Anthony when we were doing the show a little bit earlier, you know, I had the pleasure to be part of the committee that you have headed, and it's been a long journey getting it here and lots of conversations, but for those that are, you know, maybe still a little unfamiliar or aren't up to speed on how this is all going to work, just give us a bit of an overview, and we can dive in a little bit deeper in a moment, but just why did this come together, and how excited are you to finally get this off the ground?
Oh, I'm very excited about it, but if I can just preface this for a second,
Yep.
You mentioned Harrisburg, and another reason that we sometimes bring horses down here, we'll be selling over 200 yearlings in Harrisburg. So we get a little clogged up at the farm sometimes. We have to kind of
Makes sense.
make a little space, but I digress. I'm sorry. Graded Stakes was probably 18 months ago, where the breeders and sales companies were having conversations again. This had been bantered about for over 25, 30 years at the USTA and other venues. And Russell Williams, who's involved with the Stanbridge Sales Company and the USTA, said, let's push this thing out there now. Let's get this started. And lucky me, he said, you're it, in terms of being the chairman of the committee. And so I went about putting together a committee with horse race secretaries and breeders and people that I thought would be beneficial to get this thing kicked off the ground, and we started doing our work. I did, reach out to some people who were involved on the thoroughbred side, kind of get an idea of how their process started. It took them, a couple years to get it off the ground as well, and so we started the process of looking at stakes races that we felt the essence of it was basically to say that we want to focus on how important open Grand Circuit stakes races are. The sire stakes programs that have evolved in this country, and even in your province, Ontario, with your sire stakes races, they're getting better and better, but they are not open to the world.
Right.
And it's important that we focus on those races that are open to the world, that anybody can participate in, and show the importance of them, and that in essence is the importance of Grand Circuit racing.
Well, one thing that, from some of the time I've spent on the thoroughbred side, something I really enjoy watching is some of the top mares, and they'll continue to race them even a little later because they're trying to get that grade 1 win. They want to be able to say this mare was a grade 1 winner. Right. Now that we're going to have grade 1 races, grade 2, 3 obviously, but we're going to have grade 1s in the sport, and I think it's going to bring a little new life to some of these major races that I think it's going to be easier as well to bring in new racing fans or those that have been thoroughbred fans and explain to them this is one of our signature races in the sport just by seeing that grade 1 beside it.
Absolutely, and I think that's a real important part of this, is that besides it being beneficial to the breeders and to buyers, to the casual fan, who they hear a stake race, she's a great lady, the Milton. When they hear the Queen's Plate, they hear grade 1 Queen's Plate. Now they're going to hear, and when they hear grade 1, that means it's important.
Yes.
It must be something special. So now when you hear grade 1, she's a great lady, grade 1 Milton, they're going to say, wow, these races must be pretty important, as opposed to just the Milton.
Yep.
And I spoke to some people at several racetracks that during simulcasting, when they advertise, if they're dark and they're advertising this weekend, we're simulcasting 4 grade 1 stakes, they're brutally honest. They say, yeah, and our handle goes up because people know that it's something important that they should be coming out for. So another reason to do it is to draw more attention to our races and to potentially get a little more wagering dollars on them as well.
Yeah, it's going to be an opportunity for the tracks to use it as a marketing tool. That's one thing for sure that I think will be beneficial as well. Next year, when we see the sales catalogs, it's going to look a little different here on the pages. Now we're going to see grade 1, 2, 3, all the way down. I know that was one of the things we had talked about in some of the meetings, was is it going to cause cluster in the books and things like that. Great job, everyone, putting it together. But when you see a page now and you see that jump out, it probably is going to stand out more than anything else you see when you see grade 1 on there.
Absolutely. And that's what we want. We want people to focus on the major stakes. And I think the sales catalogs will start to evolve And, you know, we have a black type committee. It's done a phenomenal job over the years, but I think we're going to start seeing some of the lesser black type races maybe kind of pushed off the page to focus more on the graded races. And, you know, you and I, we've had a lot of discussion about the races that are not open to the public, but I mean to the world, but the sire stakes races, and we want to recognize them, and they'll be recognized as well with a unique grade. You know, as opposed to a G1, we will have some R1s and R2s, which means they're important to that state, but they are restricted in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, we appreciate you taking a little time to join us to break that down. I think it's an exciting development for harness racing here in North America, and you had told me around the world, you know, they already had Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, but they were even doing their own rating for our races here, correct?
United States races were being graded in Europe. It didn't seem to make sense that we wouldn't grade our own first.
Yeah, exactly. So now we'll be taking care of that. And again, congrats on a great sale with Hanover, and we look forward to catching up down in Harrisburg.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll take another time out. When we come back, we'll get you set for day number 3 here in Lexington.
Welcome to Brittany Farms. I'm with Art here, and Art, kind of a bit of an emotional week as it's your last sale. Kind of tell us, before we get into that, just about Brittany Farms and what you've done throughout the years.
Well, we started in 1983 with Mr. Siegel, and things were going well for about 4 or 5 months, and he called me and said, I've sold all my mares. Oh, heck, where am I going to go now? He said, but don't worry, I'm going to get more. So within a couple of years, we had probably 25 mares. And from then, we've just grown. At the end of '85, we bought what has now been Brittany Farms. We were Clear Creek Farms before that. And we grew a lot larger than I wanted to get, and then we shrunk, and now we're at the very end of things.
Is there, I mean, obviously it's decades of horses and mares and breedings, but is there anyone specific, you know, doesn't have to be a world champion, but that sticks out in your head that's kind of been a favorite?
Well, Art's Place was one of my favorites as a yearling. He was unique to this business. He was the leader, as you know, every field or group has a leader, but he led, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but when he walked into the shed to eat, they all moved out of his way, and he was not mean. He never chased anybody, never bit at anybody. He just had an aura about him, and he kept that aura through his whole career. Yeah.
And how, you know, going back a little bit, how did you get into breeding and horse racing?
Well, I started in the show horse business. My mom and I started a stable in 1967 that is still going. Both of my daughters work for my sister who runs the stable, and that's in the show horse business. I had a pretty good run at it, and then I went a couple years without selling anything, and was broke. And so I had a friend who went from the show horse business to the standardbreds, and we talked, and I went to work for him in Florida and met my future wife there. And we came back to Lexington at the end of the season after being on the road, and she got a job at Kentuckiana Farms after a couple of different places, and Mr. Crouch made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and we were there for several years and ended up with George.
And how about some of just the logistics of deciding, you know, mares coming into the farm and where, you know, who's going to bring in this, like the studs and breeding and all of that stuff? There's obviously a lot more to it than just a quick convo, but just the logistic process of where the mares come from and then how the process is to get them bred.
Not quite sure, though, the question, but most of our brood mares were added as yearlings that we bought to race, are kept from our broodmare band to race. Bought very few. We have bought a few, and they were pretty successful. I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Just kind of where your mares come from, so you keep them. You keep them in the family.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Once we get into a family where we like it. Most of our mares were for several years were built on the Sheehan, the Bill Sheehan pedigrees, and that's who we bought Brittany Farms from, was Mr. Sheehan. We bought a package of 36 horses and his 410-acre farm. And George and I have always laughed. Either we got the mares for free or the farm for free, because the mares were very successful for us.
Yeah. And kind of next steps for for you and what you're gonna do. Slow down a little, maybe.
I haven't been going too fast in the last few years, anyway.
No
But
horseman ever slows down.
no, no. We have 3 grandkids, and we bought a house outside of Louisville, Kentucky, and it's 10 minutes away from Zubrod Stable, where my sister lives on one side of it. My youngest daughter and her daughter live there, and then it's another 6 minutes to my other daughter and the 2 grandkids. So, and we'll spend time. We've been going to the horse shows for years, taking the kids, and we own several American Saddlebreds, which is the breed of horse that I started with, and we'll still have a pretty nice brood mare, full sister to Wolfgang. She's got her first foal, will be a yearling next year, and we'll make a decision whether we're going to sell it or train it. I'm leaning to train it if everything looks good.
That's very exciting, kind of next steps, and of course, just family.
Yeah, family's very important to me. Always has been. My wife's from Prince Edward Island, and unfortunately, her family, there's nobody in her family outside of Prince Edward Island, but we get up there as often as we can, and my kids are real close to their cousins up there. And
As Anthony, of course, with the stable,
Yeah.
is from, we're all,
Oh, yeah.
they're all from PEI, so of course we make it home quite often.
I know a whole bunch, and he and his dad and I have been good friends for a long, long time, and I know a lot of the guys up there, the McDonald's and all those guys.
Yeah, it's great, and of course, family is a big thing at the stable as well, and it's so nice when you do business where that's just as important with others.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us here, and we wish you all the best with your other farm, with the bloodstocks, and going forward, and of course in your future.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Own a little and love it a lot. TheStable.ca is an award-winning fractional ownership operation. Buy as little as 1% of a racehorse and experience 100% of the thrill. TheStable.ca makes ownership easy, accessible, and affordable. Communication and customer service are at the heart of everything we do. Get started at TheStable.ca.
All right, once again, a good look here at Fasig-Tifton. Just a beautiful, beautiful area of the country as we're in the heart of the bluegrass. Lexington, Kentucky. Day number 3 of the Lexington sale is coming up. Good to hear there from Art Zubrod as Brittany Farms are taking part in their final sale, as it's the end of an era. Brittany Farms has had so much success. You just look at the resume, the Breeders' Crown champions, the Dan Patch winners. It's been a very, very good run. So good that Jamie was able to get back to their consignment and check in with them. We also heard from Spring Station a little bit earlier, and we just had Mark Loy on the desk, and I could tell when I asked him about Hanover Shoe Farms, and I asked how they decided which horses to bring here to Lexington. And then the horses that obviously they sell the bulk of them in Harrisburg. He pointed out that you want to bring a few of the heavy hitters here, but you want to leave some as well.
Absolutely.
And then I could tell the wheels were spinning when we came back, and then he jumped in and said, and also, by the way, we're selling 200 in Harrisburg. Like, if we keep we can't sell them all there. Like, it's just too much. So it totally makes sense. But they had a very successful sale over the first couple of days.
They had we dropped by Mark Loy's Hanover's consignment. And had a look at them. There were some really nice horses down there, and it's I can't stress enough how cool the sale is. You see it, but I don't know if it dawns on you when you see all the horses go through, and then I'm always watching the breeders leave.
Yeah.
You can see there's some of them were super surprised the horse went really high, or really devastated that the horse went low, and you might think to yourself, this is a $100,000 horse. it might bring 30, it might bring 400 or more.
Yep.
And that's how much the swing can be. And you can only imagine the adrenaline dump for us bidding.
Yeah.
But for them watching all their work that they put
Yeah.
in over the last year be broke down into 30 seconds. It must be the most nerve-wracking experience of their lives. Now, a guy like Art, who's been around forever, you know, maybe that doesn't dawn on him, but I see even some of the most weathered breeders turn around. I watched one yesterday turn around, walk out of the ring, and look at his partners like, I can't believe we just got that for that horse. And it's such an interesting thing to watch that happen. It really is cool.
Yeah, the back ring is where you see a lot of that because they'll walk over with them, or if they're selling several in the day, they may just kind of stay back here and wait for them, and then they'll go in the middle there. And like you said, it's a bit of a roller coaster ride. We got another question coming in, this one on Facebook from Jonathan Allen, who wants to know, what does a good eye mean when looking at a yearling? I think we hear that term, a good eye, so he's asking, what is that?
I think that's subjective to the person. But when I say the horse got a really good eye on him, just sharp and attentive, and looks like the horse is paying attention, maybe not understanding what is going on, but very attentive to what is going on around her or his area at that moment. And just, I want to see an athletic, eager-looking animal. You don't want to see some horse that you're dragging around with its ears pinned back, and maybe the horse is sick or something, which would really be unfortunate. But you know, I just want to see a sharp eye on a horse. And I guess it's hard to explain. I think it's subjective. What you might call a good eye is maybe not what I would. But when I'm looking at a horse, I want to look at a very athletic, sharp, attentive individual, and that's kind of what I mean by a really good eye.
It's like when you see somebody come into a room, like just a person, you can tell if they are, you know, energetic, if they've, if they're ready to go, or you can tell, oh, they got off on the wrong side of the bed.
Well, yeah,
right?
they're walking in with their shirt untucked and toilet paper stuck to their foot. Probably not the first person you talk to in the room.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. We're looking ahead to day number 3. 12:42 right now is the time, so at 1 o'clock the sales session is going to get underway. I think you mentioned you had one of your clients was asking if we could get a look at the video of when you know, when you are bidding and how that is going. I think we took one the other night that might have definitely appeared on some of the feeds, so you can look that one up. I caught up with Anthony right after. We had an interview then as well, but maybe a little bit later today we'll try and get one of those videos as well and share it with you as you're parked out back there.
I'm sure today's the day where we'll get our 2 or 3 horses today, and my only question is are we going to find any Ontario horses today or throughout the rest of the sale? I don't know. I have no idea. But there were some very, very intriguing looking horses today. When we're done the sale, it's going to start, but we're not looking at the first horse. I want to refresh my thoughts that I'd written down as best I could on my catalog and say, okay, I want this horse. You know, there's some horses I said, absolutely buy this horse at this price. Well, there might be 4 or 5 of them in the catalog like that. So you really have to say, what do we need today? We do need trotting fillies. What do we need today? And can we acquire them? One of my buddies, Alan, had just said, I think he said there was a ton of trotting fillies. He said there is 55 trotting fillies today. So at a 55, we should be able to get some. Hey, Ray, how you doing? We should be able to get some, and that's the hope. If we get that, I'm trying to talk Amy. Now our kids obviously are in school right now, and she has to leave right now and drive the 4.5 hours back to Ohio. And I was trying to convince her to maybe let the kids play hooky for the next 2 days and come back down with us, and hopefully I can convince her too, because and even if we get her a sale done, like it was like, oh, you'll buy more. No, I won't. But I would like to have my kids here to witness this, because you know, we take this stuff for granted because it's here in front of us. But we don't know when these things change, right? You know, you talk about all the people that love Freehold Raceway. You see the announcement a few weeks ago that Freehold is closing. I only raced there once, but the history in that track is immense. And you never get to see this stuff. And the one thing I had mentioned this summer was my son and I went to a music concert. I'd only been to one in my life. I'm not a big crowd guy to be like jammed in with everybody. But I took him to a music concert, and I remember posting a couple of videos about it, saying to my you know, our clients and my friends, and you know, it's one of those things you don't want to turn into a I wish I had been there moment. Sure. And Lexington is that moment. Is that moment every single year.
I was thinking, especially. I don't know, Curtis is chiming in again. He doesn't have a microphone. He's got to get one if he wants to.
You can barely hear what he's saying, but you know what he's saying.
I know what he's saying. I know what he is saying. He was also looking at me asking, what's a music concert? Isn't a concert music to begin with?
No, well, I suppose so.
a music concert.
I don't know. Did I say
You go
it
to a
wrong?
concert to listen to music, right?
Is there no other
You
concerts?
just call it a concert.
It's not a video concert.
Yeah.
That's a good point, I guess. I don't know. Okay, my bad. A
But
concert.
anyways, you know, the grammar police sitting back there.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was saying. Now that I did, now I wish I didn't hear him.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
No, he said something else.
Yeah.
Probably we'll keep that
I think
off
it was
here.
may have been directed towards you.
It
actually.
was actually. That's not a surprise. Yeah, I take a lot of the abuse.
So you don't have any kids yet,
Nope.
and I know when I was young growing up, it doesn't dawn on you until you have kids. And I know Curtis is probably getting to that stage now also. His kids are growing up a little bit, but you don't realize how quick they grow. And everybody goes through this stage. You know, you come across somebody that says, oh, you know, you got to pay attention now because it moves by so quick. But I think it moves by for everybody. Yep. And I'm at the stage now where there's just some things that I want to do with my kids. And although they're not super immersed in horse racing the way I was when I was a kid, I would really like them to have memories of Lexington.
Yep, going to the sale, right, and enjoying it with their parents. Totally understand it, and you're right. You got to take this all in. There's going to be a change. There's always change in racing, but you're right. You see a track close, you know, it's
so
disappointing,
sad.
right?
Yeah, so sad.
You feel bad for the people that's home. That's their home track.
And you and I went through that, right? Like I remember not that long ago when I was driving, in 2010 to 2012, when they were closing a lot of the tracks.
Yeah.
Windsor, Woodstock,
Sudbury.
Yeah. It's just so much history in those places, and then it's gone, and you don't get it back. And you never know when things are going to change. So whether it's going to the Red Mile and showing them the Red Mile, or showing them Kentucky, or just this atmosphere, you don't get this anywhere else. Not that I've ever been to.
Right.
You don't get this anywhere else. And just to take a moment and be a part of it, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I talked to a gentleman from Australia that was over at the Little Brown Jug, and after I said, what do you think? He said, this was awesome. And I said, well, it only happens once a year. There's really nothing else like that. And he said, really? That's the only? I said, yeah. Thursday in September.
This is the jug.
That's it.
This is the jug, and that's the thing. And you know, we see that in our industry, and you know, being somebody that trains horses or drives horses or races horses, it's not really till the day after you get to absorb anything, but then it's really gone, right?
Yeah.
And I have to train. I say it all the time. I have to train myself to live in the moment sometimes. And you know, last year I was lucky enough to win the Bluegrass and the International Trot with Pickpocket. After the Bluegrass, I was more worried about where I was going to go eat that night, and it never really dawned on me that I just won the Bluegrass with Pickpocket. Well, I was lucky enough to get it done the next week with the International Money, and I didn't miss it.
Really took that.
You know,
in.
I walked, you know, all the way back to the barn and shook everybody's hand and took it all in. You just won a major race at the Red Mile, and it's just so cool. You really have to say to yourself, this is a big moment.
Yep.
And you should really soak it all in. And that's the feeling you get in Lexington, whether it be over at the Red Mile Racing or being a part of this sale every year and taking it all in. It's just, it is not duplicated anywhere on planet Earth that I've ever seen.
Yeah, to win a Grand Circuit race at Lexington, when you hear Grand Circuit, you think Lexington.
Yeah.
And I know it's a bigger pool. There's Grand Circuit races all over North America, but I think when you think of the heart of the Grand Circuit, that is here in Lexington, and the racing's going to come up on Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend, so best luck to anybody that is racing this weekend there, and hopefully have lots of success. And I knew how much it meant last year. The one cool thing I thought last year was when Pickpocket won the first week, we went to Preferred ahead of the sale, and they already had posters up of Pickpocket winning, a Grand Circuit winner, right? So that was
I think what you might remember more, though, was when he won the International Stallion, and then Preferred took us out to eat at Jeff Ruby's.
Yeah, that
you
was
might have remembered that one.
I might remember that. I think the whole crew does, to be honest. I don't think that slipped away. I know you.
You know, now what's so important is every time Pickpocket races good from here on in, he's actually going to help us out because we have his sister.
Yes,
so it's true. It's very important in that regard also. So, but just stuff like that, right? Just being a part of that and understanding how it affects people, it's impressive.
All right. Well, I just got a text from our man Curtis, and he says
from the video room.
Yep,
from the video room over there.
From the control room. They want to let us know that we've got some more videos to check out, and 4 of them exactly is the number. Let's go to them right now.
You like your aim? So we are looking to fill up our buckets with some horses today. That, as I said in an earlier video, it's not all just about the biggest, strongest horses. This is actually a small horse, a May 11th foal by Bold Eagle, which makes this horse only eligible in Kentucky. Not that he can race anywhere, but its stakes will be in Kentucky. So I'm thinking Oak Grove, Corbin, Lexington, I suppose. Nice family, though. Really like the family of Royal Charm down on the 3rd dam. But the 2nd dam is pretty cool. This is a world champion in Lifetime Pursuit. The mother is a Wallner sister to Lifetime Pursuit. So I like this filly. She is a little bit small, but man, she's put together well, and she's very, very long. So I like everything about her. And she's the type of horse that fits in, right? This is the type of horse where you look and say, I think we just made a good purchase. Not an astronomical amount of money, not, you know, they're not going to give her away. But she is a beautiful filly, and I guess goes without saying there would be some sort of residual value in there also as a broodmare with Lifetime Pursuit and all these good horses down here in the bottom part of the page. So number 519, Golden Angel. Nice filly. I like her. Horse to look at as we move into the latter part of the sale in Lexington. What's going on?
I was telling your wife I came over here at Ohio.
Now we got a lot going on here, number 562. I'm not even going to guess what day this is. I assume 3. We have a Chapter 7 filly. Now when you look at the page, obviously you don't want to see all these white spaces, right? You're looking for pedigree and money and wins, and all you see is blankness here. And the reason you do is this is a lot of French blood, a lot of European blood. First foal from a ready cash mare that didn't make a whole lot of money, Irish Melody, French mare. The second dam has a horse named Girls Talk in it that made $360,000 in Europe. And again, you have all these white gaps. So you say, well, what about the horse? The video looks really nice on this filly, but if you look down at her front feet, she's toed out, both front. And this is where the videos, to me, come in they're very, very important. When you see a horse toed out like that, your first inclination is to say, nah, I don't like that horse. Especially when it's going to have to race in the smaller tracks in New York. But if you watch her video, she actually comes off the ground pretty cleanly for a horse with her, that is toed out a little bit. So as I said, when you're looking for value, and we're always looking for value, it's a horse with a good-looking video, a good-looking head on her shoulders. She is toed out. She is at 11-1. But when you watch her in her video, she does exit her gate, enter her gate pretty cleanly. So I don't really mind number 562. Here's a horse that doesn't have a ton of things to talk about on her pedigree page, but they thought enough of her to breed her. And you can be sure that D Farm, Jean-Pierre Dubois, he must have thought there was something in the family. So you have a good-looking filly with a good-looking video and a lot to talk about in regards to value. So 562 I find actually rather interesting. And I am going to be taking a look at her. I priced her. I'm going to watch her go through. And she's a horse that makes sense to buy while she's in the ring. You may very well do that. Number 562, 7 Irish. Selling, I assume, on day number 3 in Lexington.
I wrote yikes.
You got to price her. $576 Carnation. This is a Captain Treacherous filly, which makes her a full sister to Terminator and a half sister to Lunar. Now Lunar, I know this name. Lunar has a mark of 48-4 now, 17 wins. Terminator's got a mark of, I think it's the same, right? 12 wins, $438,000 made, and a mark of 150-4. Second dam, 49-1. Lions River Pride. Automatic Slims down the third. This is all good family. All 3 dams are all good horses. And again, 576, I don't understand why. You know, if I'm going to pick her apart, she's maybe a little bit back on that left knee. If you can see the way she's standing, maybe a little bit back in her left knee. Lots of them are. Not really that worried about that. I think she's a really, really good-looking filly, and I'm a little surprised she's way back here. Can you walk her one more time for me? Sharp, too. She's squealing the whole time she's been out here. He's a big, big, strong filly. Number 576, Carnation, selling here on day number 3 in Lexington, April 24th. Captain Treacherous filly. So we aren't really on the lookout for trotting colts, but we certainly aren't on the lookout for pacing colts. And I'll tell you what, this right here is a very, very odd situation. You might look at this horse and say, this guy's small. Yeah, so is his brother. Captain Cowboy was a horse that we tried to buy before the Little Brown Jug in his 3-year-old season, and the answer was simple: no. There was no rebuttal, there was no negotiation, he just wasn't for sale. And this is the first time that they went back to Captain Treacherous since Captain Cowboy. Now, it's so odd. This horse is back at $579. There's no glaring issues with this horse. His video is okay. He's a beautiful horse. In fact, I might even say he might even be a little bit bigger when all things are said and done, when he starts racing, than his brother was. And you might say, well, Captain Cowboy was one and done, you know, in the family. Well, Heart of My Sleeve took a mark of pace 51 and 4, 241,000. That was a bettor's delight. Playing Favorites was a roll with Joe that took a mark of 52 and 1 and made $100,000. Chalk Player was a Camlock that went in 52 and 1. And you say, well, maybe you're right. Oh wait, just look in the second dam. You have Mr. Big, $4 million made in a mark of 47 and 4, and World Away, who was a very nice horse. I believe that was Des DeCour's horse. $555,000 made by Western Terror. This is a good family, and this is a good-looking colt. My only question is, what is he doing at $579? I'm not really sure. So this is a horse was not on our radar, but I will absolutely be watching this guy very, very closely as the sale ticks away today in Lexington. Number 579, his name is Odds On Favorite. He's a March 18th colt, selling today at a Springhaven.
All right. I think our mics are back up as we are getting set to put a bow on today's show here from Lexington. The 2024 sale is about to kick off. Anthony just said it. It's really starting to fill up. People are pouring in now. Going to be another long session. I would imagine it'll be done around 7 p.m. or 7:30 tonight. So if you're tracking along with the results, it'll be rolling all day long. And you said, you know, see if we can get the business done here today.
It'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice. What about Curtis? Do you think you want to do some updates? Did we buy any horses earlier on? I know you guys couldn't because we didn't buy anything yesterday, and by the time we bought some, you were heavily intoxicated. But I was wondering if...
See, if he had a mic, you could tell that's not true.
He could defend himself, but he can't.
No.
So
he was hanging out with your other brother all day. So.
Yeah. So it was you know, people are starting to fill in now. It's going to be a great day. You know what? It's going to be a beautiful day.
It's gorgeous.
Sale or no sale, they can have a volleyball game over there. It's going to be a nice day to watch it. It's a beautiful day here in Lexington. And yes, I am confident we're going to come away with 3 fillies today. I don't know which ones. I would be surprised if we didn't, but even if we don't, we get 2 more days.
Yep.
We are trying to convince Curtis to stay down on Friday. He's not warming to the idea yet, but alcohol just started pouring. We might be able to talk him into it before the end of the day. And I'm trying to talk my wife into coming back down and letting the kids play hooky. I think I have about as good a chance on both. Curtis staying on Friday and Amy coming back down.
Oh, I thought the chances were a little better with Amy coming back down.
You're probably right, but only marginally.
Marginally? Okay.
Marginally better.
Well, we'll work on her and see if we can get that to happen.
Yeah.
Thanks so much again. Great day. Fun show the last couple of hours. Time to get down to work as the session's about to start. I think they're already up in the booth. They're going to start with the opening announcements. Yep. Time to get down to business. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll chat with you again tomorrow.
Take care.